We're live from the res here. Special guest, Mr. Emerson Joe, Native Inc. in the house. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I get here, Bennett.
It's good.
Good afternoon, relative. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. It's good to see you. Even though I'm kind of not seeing you because you're covered up, which is good, for precautionary times right now. I'm sure everybody in the world's got to know what's going on. The coronavirus, COVID-19. It's hit the world, and I'm really thankful to have you here because I know recently, we look at the native world that it's hit. It's hit the Colorado River. It's hit up in Washington. It's hit different parts of the native world, but I think nowhere else has been hit harder so far than Navajo Nation, your homelands. And I know recently you went out there and the call was made, they needed help, and you went out there to help your people and you took some supplies and things like that. So I'm thankful to have you in here, and I wanted to ask you about it, man. What was the vibe, and what was that journey like?
uh, the journey was it was a hard one. It was the decision, and seeing all the footage and the news about what was going on from the very start of the first two people who caught the virus, and it just erupted throughout the whole reservation, like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit close. It hit real close when the people started passing away, and the uh, one of the elders, that I know started giving us a feedback on what was going on out there when we arrived out in Monument Valley, Ojito area, and the call that made us want to do it was that seeing all the donations go to the main towns, Tuba City, Chinle, Winter Rock, and coming out there coming out there from the mud, you know, I know where the hardships are, because I lived it. I lived in that hardship. Have relatives that live way out there in the middle of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I go back to the reservation, I always make a trip out to Monument Valley to the homeland and set up shop. And the Navajo people, they liked that when I would come out there, and I made a lot of good friends, a lot of good connections out there. So I told myself one day I'm gonna get back,
Mm-hmm.
because they always get back to me when I go out there. They're always happy to see me when I pull up with new product,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have to travel 2 hours to a white man's town to go to a white man's mall to go buy shirts for their native children. So when I pull up and they see native shirts, they they're happy about it because
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to make that trip to town.
Yeah, I
So
bet.
so they're grateful. So when that time came, to give back, it was already natural. I felt it in my heart and I felt it in my spirit. It said, "You must go. You gotta go." And coming from a military Marine Corps background, we were always first to fight, first to flight. We were the bullet stoppers. And serving two terms in Iraq. And coming back with that PTSD, it was kind of hard for me for a couple of years. And having to learn from it and deal from it. I got better. And when any call outs happen, ever since Standing Rock, Line 3 pipeline, No Bayou Bridge pipeline, Protect Bears Ears. And every time they put a call out, I went, because that's what warriors do. Warriors go when that call out comes, when there's wartime. But when there's no wartime, we're servants to our people, we're servants to our community. So that's where it comes from.
Mhm.
That's where my elders, that's where my mom, that's where I got it from. So it wasn't, it was already, told to me by the elders.
Mhm.
And when that time came, it was like, it was time. It was time to act. And I'm a warrior before I'm a hustler. I sell Native Inc clothing. I sell Natives with Attitude clothing. And I greatly appreciate everybody who's bought from me, because all that money I saved up. That's what I used to get 200 medical face masks. And as soon as I got it, I posted it, and all the money left, I took it and bought donations, and also got help from the people of Los Angeles, some people from Temecula, Rincon Reservation, Pechanga Reservation, uh, Hesperia, and also in Victorville. And they all made it happen. The tribes came together. It wasn't just res people. It was city natives. It was indigenous natives. Mexican natives. It
Mhm.
was it was indigenous natives from South America. We all came together as one tribe
That's
to
beautiful,
make
man.
it
That's
happen.
beautiful. That's something you see nowadays, is like a long time ago it seemed like the dialogue there was definitely like a us them, or we them type of mentality, where it's like us natives, and then oh, those people down there are Mexican, or there's some other, but like that's one of the beautiful things in the last 10 years that I've seen. It seems like with the internet and with people coming together, and social media, getting to know each other, that now we're all indigenous people from this land here. Whether you're from here in San Diego, like my people, Kumeyaay, Tipai, or whether you're from out in New Mexico or down in Central America, we're all indigenous to this land, and it's beautiful that we come together like that, especially in
Yes,
a time like
I
now, when
love.
people need it. And what I think is really interesting sometimes is that even though we're from such different locations and in climates and environments, and landscapes and stuff, and a lot of times we look real different, or even our modern times we're living in different, we have so much that's so similar and the same, like you talking about. I think a lot of people probably don't know that you were in the military when they see you. They just see an Indian dude. And but yeah, you did do that military service, just like so many of our native peoples have done. Even though the nation has done us dirty with all the history, but we have that like warrior spirit within not just one tribe, but really it's pretty common. Like every nation has that warrior way where you do serve your people, like you're talking about. You do go to the front lines, and when the call is made to try to protect your family and the people, and it's like that has helped increase military involvement, where per capita natives have served, since World War One. We've served more than any other demographic in the United States. And I know military, like my nephew, he went to Afghanistan. My dad was in Vietnam. My grandpa was in World War Two. These guys are proud. They were proud to serve. It wasn't always good, and I'm sure they have their own commentaries on it. But and I meet a lot of natives, and they're proud to say that, hey, the call was made and I went. And then when they come home, to be able to continue that call, it's a powerful thing to see. I believe. I think it's cool that that's there. The idea that we take care of our people and selflessly, and be humble about it and things like that. So thank you for your service, man. That's a beautiful thing to hear, that all these people are coming together like that to
Yeah,
help,
yes.
to give, because that's what it's going to take for us to continue into the next generation.
And the great thing about it is that, all tribes came together, from the north to the south, to the west, to the east, even all the way from Hawaii. Shout out to Tina from Hawaii,
Nice.
giving the face mask for the kids. And also Sofina from LA, because she also made uh, face masks for the kids too. So I want to give that shout out, to them. And also shout out, to Danny, from the Mapuche tribe from South America. We're all coming together. The eagle and condor
Mm-hmm.
is flying, and that prophecy is happening of all of us tribe coming together as one, so we can live another 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
No more fighting one another. No more No more reservations, no more borders, no more boundaries, no more hating. If they don't know what it is, it's up to us to teach them because that's how our elders did it. And that's how our ancestors did it. And our ancestors are watching right now. And everything are what we do. And what are we going to do? So we when we arrived to Monument Valley, we didn't call nobody. I just knew where the people that don't have running water and electricity live.
Mm-hmm.
And we contacted the chapter house. They were closed. Those are the tribal members that run the town, and they were closed. So we went to the visitor center next, and there was 3 Navajo ladies there that were still working, and they didn't have no mask.
They're just
So
out there in
when
the middle of
yeah, out
like,
there in the middle of nowhere. So we
man.
so we pulled up on them, and we said, hey, hello, ladies. We're coming from California. We have donations from the people of California that want to give out to the elders that live out here. To the grandmas and grandpas that need it. And the ladies were so happy. And I pulled up. I said, hold on, ladies. Do you have face masks? They're like, no. So I ran to the truck, grabbed a couple, grabbed a stack, and threw it to them, and they put it on right there. Boom. And they were
Wow.
happy. They're like, yes, yes, that's what we needed. So they made a contact with the senior center of Ojeto, who the driver who drives the elders around. So she came, met us there, and we followed her to the senior center in Ojeto. And we had to take the dirt road to get all the way out there in the back of the canyon. And when we pulled up, we opened up the back of the vehicle, the back of the SUV, and we just started boxing up. We started boxing up 25 boxes of food donations, canned food, uh, canned soup, canned fruits, top ramen, water, vitamin C packs, laundry detergent, powdered laundry detergent, hand soap, toilet paper, cases of water,
One thing I saw on your
and
social
everything. Yeah,
on your
and
social was,
yeah,
I didn't realize this in, because I'm a Cali Indian, like we're near the stores. I want to make a mask. I'll go to down the store,
yeah,
get it, bring it back. You know what I mean? We have a lot of things that are very close to us. But out there, my first thought when this thing happened was like, Indians, we kind of have a little bit of we're pretty out. We're not in the middle of the cities. We're pushed out into reservations, especially here in East County and San Diego. We're pushed out. We're gonna be able to, we're rural. We're kind of, because of that spacing, we might do better off with this thing if it's about, exposure. You think about a place like Navajo Nation. I know when I've driven through there, they're so far apart from each other. I thought, oh man, these guys are gonna be okay because ain't no one gonna get in there. There ain't no way the germs are gonna, contaminate everybody because they're so far apart. There's no contact. But that's not what happened. They got the contact, the disease showed up there, the sickness got there, and then what should have been something that would help them, which is being so remote, turns into something that is such a hurtful thing because now if they are sick or they need supplies, they do need these things, they're so far away from the town, they're so far away. So something you think that would help and aid them becomes something so dangerous, and makes it a difficult situation even more difficult. That's rough. And what I saw on I saw you on social media, I think Instagram or something. You were kind of sharing some of the stuff that you were given, and what caught my ear was that you were talking about people not having running water, refrigerators, electricity, things like that we wouldn't even think about. So it's like, oh man, send them all this stuff, but it's like, no, you need something that they can kind of store a little bit,
yes,
canned food or
yes,
dry stuff, and obviously, we want to give them healthy items and things like that. But it was like it really just did something to my mind. I was like, man, yeah, that's right, man. If you're getting sick right now, you don't got a refrigerator, you don't have like, some of the bare essential type things like running water. Everyone's saying go wash your hands, go, and it's like, well, if you don't even got running water, that's a difficult thing to
yeah,
do, to go simply wash your hands, because when this first started, that was what people were saying. Oh, it's not a big deal, just go wash your hands. And it's like, well, that's the easy thing to say if you have running water, if you have soap, oh, just wear a mask. That's an easy thing to do if you have a mask or you have someone near you who sews to kind of make you something. And me, even when this started, I was like, I'm not working on mask. But my niece, shout out Sarah Amador, I'm gonna have her and my nephew in too. She right away went up to sewing. I went over and what are you doing? She's like, oh, she had all these things laid out. She was
Mm-hmm.
sewing masks, and she made a grip for our elders here in my res, and the next res over my wife's res, San Isabel. She made a bunch, gave them to my wife. My wife's on council. She took them up and she gave them all out to the elders so they have masks. And this mask I'm wearing right now, she made this. Like I didn't have to worry about a mask. She give us a couple.
Right.
So it's kind of like these are things you take for granted. You know what I mean? But if you don't have those and you're out in the remote areas and you can't access a store because the nearest store is closed down because of the stay home order, now you're just without supplies. You're out there by yourself in the middle of it and you don't have no help. That's something that it really triggered in my mind when I heard you say that on your I think you were doing a go live or something. I was like, oh man, that's right. They're so far out.
Yes,
You get
yes.
sick and you're so far out and you don't have those supplies, you don't have running water, you don't have a refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different situation. That's a whole
Yes.
different thing, man.
And especially when the elders are the ones taking care of their children, their grandchildren, and their great grandchildren. And when the first virus hit, the grandchildren and the great grandchildren didn't know about social distancing. So they were um, having parties, get togethers, and
Oh.
everything. So they caught the virus. But now that they know about it, they're self quarantined themselves now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they don't get the grandparents sick because they're the ones who are financially taking care of them right now
Mm-hmm.
using their social security. So right now, there's a lady, a grandma. She's 80 years old. She's taking care of her 55-year-old daughter, and her daughter has grandkids and her great grandkids. So there's four generations living in the house. No running water, no electricity. There's 300 elders that live in Ojeto Monument Valley area. That means 300 homes, 300 families. Before we left Ojeto and dropped off all the donations to the people of Ojeto and Monument Valley, we gave the donations to the people who were infected, to the grandmas and grandpas who were in the wheelchairs, to the little kids who were just running around acting like nothing was happening to them. And they were so excited when we pulled up. They let us into their house and they waited right there at the yard, waiting for us to drop the donations off. And they were all happy. Their eyes lit up, their smiles lit up, and it was a great feeling in putting masks in every donation box. I gave freaking about 14 of them in every box. And the next day, when we went back to the gas station to gas up, they all had the mask on
Mm-hmm.
and they were all wearing it because they didn't have the supplies.
See, again, people take that for granted. They think that
Yeah.
everyone's got masks. Like once you get a mask, or if you live in a city, like you just assume, well, wear a mask. Everyone's got something. But I saw some on the news. They arrested a guy in L.A. because he was selling counterfeit. He was selling bootleg masks, man. I
Huh.
was like, get out of town. But he was down, I guess, the street from Staples in
Huh.
L.A. And he was those what is it, the N95s or whatever, like
Yes.
the real high quality masks. He was selling them for like I think $12 or $15 a mask, two for 20 or something like that, right? But he was selling them and and that wasn't the problem. The problem was that they were totally bootleg. Like you look at them, you could tell they
Yeah.
were they weren't even close. But it had like the little stamp on
Mm-hmm.
it that said it was truly bootleg
Mm.
masks. And they took him to jail and all this kind of stuff. It was on the news. And then they interviewed somebody from the neighborhood, and they were saying like, "Hey man, like I get that he should be selling that stuff, but first off, why would you expect medical grade stuff on the
Right.
streets? For one, consumers got to know what they're buying. But the other thing he was saying that struck me was that he said, where else are we supposed to get a mask? That's where I got my mask. That's where everyone's getting their masks because he was selling a bunch of masks
Yeah.
up in the
Yeah.
streets there. There ain't no stores open selling masks right now. If you don't like, if you're in a big city, you don't sew. Like, where
That's
are you supposed
right.
to get masks? So I think people take for granted that you can have a mask or that you have someone that knows how to sew or they have a connection to some kind of medical some like you have like I saw one dude just cut his sleeve off his shirt was wearing it, but because in California you got to wear them, and most
Yes.
most places they want you to wear it and stuff. And but again, it's taking that for granted that you have those supplies, but when you get
Yes.
way out there, it wasn't the case, huh?
They don't have.
That's crazy, man.
And so the second day we ran back out to Flagstaff. We went to a outdoor shop
Hmm.
and found solar rain showers. So I was we was able to purchase 5 of them
Hmm.
and then go back to the senior center to drop them off. So that's the next mission is to supply every family, every home with a solar rain shower
Okay.
so they can shower the sickness and the virus off.
Yeah.
And today we were gathering donations from Home Depot and Food for Less. Uh, there's a lady who's running a nonprofit organization named Sophia Davenport from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
She is a lady who's gonna be running the first indigenous Native American foster home in Long Beach,
Oh wow.
and she's using her organization to help donate, write letters for us so we can get donations from Home Depot, Ralph's, um, Food for Less, and
Hmm.
all the other grocery stores so we can keep making this mission every month so that every house on the reservation will get donations, will get bleach, cleaning supplies. And that's what we picked up today in at Home Depot. And then at Food for Less, we picked up Vienna sausages and we picked up fruit cups for the
Hmm.
grandchildren who are self quarantining right now. So so we're just picking up little snacks that we get like you get from Smart and Final,
Hmm.
that will keep them good, so the families don't have to cook for them and they don't have to, get close to them and spread the virus. And next month we're going to continue on this mission on the first week of June, and all proceeds of Native Inc product, Natives with Attitude, is going to the families of Monument Valley and Ojeto. Everything I make is all going to that family.
And we're gonna try to hype up as best we can. Native Inc. and let everybody know. We'll share what we can on our social medias and everything like that. But you can find Native Inc. on Instagram and whatnot, and just go click through and get some good swag. Get some good shirts. Going for a good cause right now for sure, man.
Yes, it is. Everything is being funded through what we're doing, and I'm not trying to ask for donations. I'm just trying to sell the product so that at least people will get a piece of merchandise and know where the money is going.
Hmm.
And with everything we're doing, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep moving on. When anybody puts a call out, we're there to make that mission from east to west, from north to south. The Eagle and Condor is coming, and we're going to make it happen. No matter we got to do, there's no more borders, there's no more boundaries, there's no more reservations. We're all one people and we're all one tribe. And we need to become that so we can live another 1,000 years.
That's
Like,
beautiful,
yeah,
man.
thank you.
Beautiful. That's beautiful, man. That eagle or condor. Sometimes I don't know if everybody knows what that is. If you don't, you're listening to this, you should really look into that. There's a lot of stuff online. There's resources to kind of hear that prophecy and what that is, but it's really about unity and togetherness. Sometimes I joke around, say we should really throw a hawk in there too, because a lot of people believe in the red-tailed hawk in the Southwest, and we should throw the Quetzal in there for the Mayans and all the people there in the central spot. But the bottom line is, you're talking about the sacred bird of the North and of the South coming together, and all the peoples who believe in those ways. And it's always been said that our people have always been connected by this land. And even though these new borders have been kind of striped through the middle of it, we'll stay connected, and that there'll be a time we all come together and empower each other.
Yes, and
And
there's gonna time we're
it's
gonna
happening right
burn
now.
down them borders
Hey,
and we're gonna take it all back.
I'm waiting for the big earthquake to come and take down Trump's wall before it shows up. I'm hoping one day. No, but for real though, it's funny because like they try to make those borders, but some of these borders it doesn't work because they're intellectual togetherness, and things like the internet and social media, and that's what binds people together now. Well, one cool thing I've noticed, and my tribe, the Kumeyaay Nation, we're one of those tribes that the border goes right through the middle of us.
Ah,
Half of our land and half of our people are down there, and so for a good couple generations, it's been a big disconnect between the people of the
yeah,
North and the South. I'm pretty
yeah.
blessed in that my grandpa was from down there. He's buried
Hmm.
down there, and so my dad, growing up, my dad would, he was always gone down there, and he speaks
Yeah,
Spanish and everything, Kumeyaay and Spanish and English, and so I grew up going down there, and he would do
yeah.
like what you're doing right now. He'd do a lot of that kind of stuff, taking food and water and clothes and things like that
Oh,
down there. We go down there and
oh.
sing and do stuff
Woo-woo.
like that. So I grew up just knowing that those are our people, but a lot of people in the north would kind of look at them and say, they're a bunch of Mexicans, or those aren't, like, they were different people. It was really
Yeah.
weird, and I never understood that. And my parents would just say, well, because there's they kind of explained to me the history, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Mm.
But for me, I always knew that we were one people. So it's real cool that, it's been that way for a while. Now, the last 10, 15 years, seems like our people really acknowledge that in the north and in the south, that we're all one people, and we support each other. So, anyways, along that, it's cool because people get down on social media and whatever,
Yeah.
but it's cool to connect with people down there, and then they'll message you, and they're messaging you in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, and I'm messaging them in English, and they don't really
Mm.
speak English, but there's like the automatic translator on there, and we can just have like a real fluid conversation, and it's cool because we'll start talking Indian to each other, and then we're using the technology to translate the Spanish and English, so we're able to kind of talk our language with each other, and it's cool. I can have conversations with people down there like that because I don't speak Spanish. I understand a little bit of it, and I took it in college and all that, but I'm not fluent enough to have a good, conversation. But with technology, it's like I'm able to have that. So that just kind of brings us as a nation together. And it's cool because I've seen some of our groups down there, our people down there come up and come to gatherings up here and sing,
Yes.
participate, and then and us go down there as well. I've gone down there and continued to sing over the years. And last year it was really a cool experience because I went to Grand Canyon to Supai. Shout out to Supai as we're talking about all this COVID stuff. They've been locked down for 3 months now,
Mm.
and they're taking care of themselves down there, and they're real traditional people and they're good people, but they're down there. They locked everything down at the bottom of Grand Canyon for safety, and they're down there. So shout out to those guys. You're in our thoughts and prayers. But it was cool to go down there this last year, and there was a group of Pai Pai that went down there, and they family and singers, and we all sang and danced together down there. And it's cool because they're kind of like from the southern parts of our Pai people, and then going all the way up to the Supai.
Mm.
I'm Kumeyaay Pai, they're Supai. We're all like of the Pai groups of people. We're all in the same cultural region. We're able to meet up at the Grand Canyon on the bottom and sing, dance, have a good time with each other. And a lot of that is because we have the technology to kind of help us translate, which is pretty cool.
Mm.
And so, that whole togetherness, that unity, you see it coming, you see it coming together. Standing Rock, you saw a global unity of indigenousness. You saw people doing the Maori dance. You saw people from parts of northern Siberia and Europe. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool just to kind of see it unfold, that side of it, anyways,
Yes.
online. People going live, and you're seeing people from across America, South America, all over the world coming into Standing Rock and showing spiritual support, by being there and singing and dancing and stuff. And it's like, you're right. Once that happened, then it was like all these other calls. People, not everybody, but there's been people following these calls. And so once again, right now is a time where we're seeing, some of our indigenous people, they need some help, so the call's out, I guess, if you can help. If you can't make it, and this is something for me, like I got a family and kids, I wasn't able to go out there. I suggest people out there, if you can't make it, you're like me, it doesn't hurt to just, you can always find an organization. You got one already set up. There's one right there, and you can Venmo. Even if you Venmo $5, that might help. Throw some gas in the car to get somebody, to get the supplies out there. That might buy one bottle of bleach, and that's better than none. You might, even if you give $1, you're buying a fruit cup for a little kid. And so that does help. And so that's what I would encourage everybody to do.
Yeah,
If
hey,
you
thank
could,
you,
if you can
Bennett.
help out, man.
Thank you, relative.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can't get you out of here without asking or talking to you about your shirt, man.
All
Let's backtrack for a sec.
right.
NW, you made a comment earlier. You said, when you went out there, you drive your stuff out there because they are so isolated, they're so remote, and there's not a lot of spots to buy clothes and stuff out there that's native and stuff.
Yes.
That's so true. I went out to North Dakota a while back, about a year and a half ago. I was at a powwow out there, and I was wearing a shirt from Elvis Hauser, from the next res over.
Yes.
And I had one of his shirts on, and somebody comes up to me and goes, "Oh man, you're from San Diego." And I was like, "Do I know you?" And he was like, "No, no, no." He goes, "I recognize your shirt," and it had a bird dancer,
Yeah.
and it had I forgot what it said. Maybe it said Res Bird on it, and it was one of Elvis's designs. And he goes, "Man, that's so cool." He goes, "Man, I love going to San Diego powwows because they got shirts there, they got clothes, and people come down, they'll buy a bunch of stuff, and then they go back because everywhere in the nation's not like that. There's
Yeah.
not, there are designers that are, they do sell online or that, they're kind of out there, but like there's not like organic, like it's not like San Diego, man. We have such a scene. You can go to the powwow and buy like 20 shirts,
Yeah.
and they're all unique and they're all good designs. Like there's great designers in San Diego. You're one of them. And I gotta
Thank
say
you.
that shirt
Thank
you're
you.
wearing's got to be one of the top 10, top
Oh.
5 Indian designs of all
Yeah.
time. Native is with attitude. If you guys can't see it, man, I know you've seen it online. I know they probably sold it. Somebody sold you one, but this is the real guy who made up the design. I remember when you came up with that design, Native with attitude, and it blew up. I'll be honest. I even myself, I took my picture and put it on one of the Indian chiefs. Hey,
Hey.
hey. But I've seen people kind of put their own chiefs on there, kind of switch it
Yeah.
up. I've seen people kind of just hijack your design and sell it for their own gain and stuff, which is messed up. But it's got to feel good to know you just put that into the universe and
Yes.
people wear that shirt
Yes.
with pride everywhere.
Yes. It does feel good. It does feel good that it took off and it went across the whole res, everywhere. And it started, just to pay homage to our ancestors, to our chiefs who put it down for us, who made it happen. And this shirt has Chief Joseph, it has Geronimo, it has Sitting Bull, it has Chief Red Cloud, yes, all the great chiefs on there. And what's great about it is that there's 3 chiefs on there: Chief Chief Joseph, Chief Red Cloud, and Sitting Bull were the 3 chiefs that signed the 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty, which was the Battle of Greasy Grass, which was when they scalped Custer's hair, his pretty blonde hair, and took the United States flag.
Yeah.
And that 1868 Fort Laramie Treaty is what the warriors established as Ocheti Shakowee, the main warrior camp of Standing Rock. So if it wasn't for our chiefs to lay it down and put it down for us, we wouldn't have been able to establish a great time, a great life of coming together as one tribe, the Rainbow Tribe, the 7th generation, and going against everybody, the National Guard, the United States Army, the Morton County Police, Bismarck County Police, even Standing Rock Tribal Police, all of them. And we did it with no weapons. We did it with our heart, our spirit, our songs, and what the elders would tell us out there. And we did it to protect the sacred Mother Earth, Father Sky, and the Lady of the Water. And what came out was a beautiful thing. Black Snake Killers. And I want to say rest in peace to my boy Larry. He's one of them that passed away, but was a great frontliner and a great warrior. So I want to say a yehe for bringing me and having us speak about what's going on out there, because we're going into the infected areas where their grandparents and their grandchildren cannot leave their house or go to the store or live so far away on the dirt road they can't even get to the store. So that's who we're hitting up, and we're doing it, for our people, all of our people,
Hmm.
and it's time to come together. It's time to be servants to our community, and reach out to one another like
Hmm.
how you reached out to me. And I want to say, yeah, Bennett, thank you,
Hmm.
relative.
Yeah, it had to be said, like I seen you doing that stuff out there, and I said, hey, I know you're busy and you're going there and back, and if you could come in and just share what's going on a little bit with everybody out there, appreciate it. So I reached out to you, and I didn't know if you'd be able to. I'm glad that you're able to make it and be here and share because it's something that isn't being shared enough out there. The mainstream media, they're running everybody rancid right now. They're really scaring the life out of a lot of people, and then people don't want to be scared or they don't want to live in that, that feeling, and so they're instead of trying to meet in the middle, they're saying, okay, it's fake, this isn't real, and so people don't know what to think because I feel like a lot of the media just really got people lost, and even when the media is not getting people lost, which it seems like it always is, they never really want to talk about our native side of things, and we know right
Yes,
now that
yes.
per capita wise, Navajo Nation's got hit harder than any other state by far. Like it's got hit harder than really anywhere in America, and that's all. They almost had to bring up that that's the thing. Meanwhile, there's this package that went out. Everybody got their stimulus checks. They put out the act to try to give businesses relief and all these kind of things, the CARES Act and all that. Same time, it's like the funds that have gone to the Navajo Nation, they're being held up. A lot of the funds going to the tribal groups are being held up. And so they're not getting it. And that's like the most hard hit area in America, and they're not getting the relief. They're not getting that instantaneous relief that you would think they would want to give to fellow Americans. And the media is not really covering that. So it was important to say, like, no, the Navajo Nation is not fine. They do need some help right now. We as people should be trying to step up and help them out if we can. We need to answer the call like you did, and I think that was important to talk about a little bit. Same time, it's hard to do that when everybody is on lockdown. Everybody, I don't know what the vibe is out there. I didn't go out there. So you coming in and sharing is real important, I think, because you're able to share what's going on out there and give us a perspective of what it's like over there. From here in San Diego, it's like it's interesting to me. Back in March, I was really like, man, this thing had me scared and rocked. I was like, you started hearing what's going on, what the possibilities could be, and like it might just go through and take all of our elders, it might come to sweep through a res, and
Yes, I know.
they're talking about the high risk. What are the high risk factors? They're like, well, obesity, diabetes, heart problem. I'm just going like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. Those are all things that us Native Americans lead the nation in. Like we lead the nation in all of those adverse medical effects. So that means that we are, by population, the highest risk. We are the highest at risk population out there.
Mm.
So, when I was hearing that like late February, early March, first thing I thought was like, oh my God, we're gonna get hit hard if we don't watch out. So it's a very scary time. It's like lock the res down, lock the res down. And but it's been a few months, and here in San Diego, the vibe is definitely like, well, we've been locked down, and the numbers haven't shown nothing. So open it up. And so now like people are wanting it open and everything be open. Everyone's out in the streets, and it's very much a relaxed vibe. And I'll be honest, I kind of was catching that vibe myself. Like, yeah, I guess we can relax. But then kind of talking to you and seeing you out there and the work going on, and it brings it back to home that, you know what, yeah, this is a real thing. Because there are people talking about, oh, this is conspiracy, it's not real. And I go, no, 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 hold on. There's New York, first off. But then for me, I always go, well, there's Navajo Nation, and so we know that it's real, and it can hit hard, and it is hitting hard. It's hitting our
Yes.
people hard right now. And so it's not fake. This is a real thing, and we have to really be cautious and plan for the worst. You prepare for the worst and you hope for the best, but you have to be ready to go, man. We have to take care of our people and save them, and do whatever safeguards we can. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, especially with the media, because it is easy just to detach and just like, I ain't listening to the news no more. I'm not gonna. I know me
Hmm.
personally, I was getting on the website and I was looking up the
Yeah.
numbers every night. I'll check out the numbers, and I was like, oh man, there's like 4,000 people got it in America. You know what I mean? Then I was like, oh, there's 10,000 people that got it, 20,000 people got it, and I was just like, every day I was checking, and my wife's like, you need to stop looking at that, and I was like, I know I need to. And I'm reading everything about it, and I'm just like, okay, my brain's gonna fall apart. So I was just on it. I was going and going and going and going, and I just had to kind of like detox my mind from it, and get back to, all right, we have time on our hands. For me, I have my sons just turned 18. I have another son at 16. These guys are going to be out of the house soon. This is quality time that I can spend with them. We can. They're kind of forced to be home with mom and dad right
Hmm.
now, so we can use that as quality time, hang out with each other, do things, and that's what we've done at my house. You know what I mean? And I think my res has done that. Our res has pretty much been on lockdown, where I'm not seeing people coming and going, and it's everyone's kind of safe in their little social bubbles.
Yes.
It hasn't hit
That's good.
here. The next res, most of the res in SoCal are like that. Everyone's got their social bubbles. No one's getting hit hard with it, and it's been kind of quality family time a little bit. And so the vibe has been kind of chill a little for
Mm.
me, and I feel like we're at an advantage because we are isolated from the rest of the city. Again, that's what I would assume would happen in Navajo Nation, but it didn't go that way. And instead, that advantage of being isolated turned into um, kind of a recipe for disaster a little bit if you were to catch it.
Yeah. They weren't educated about self distancing
Hmm.
themselves in the
Yeah.
beginning, and they didn't have the face mask to even protect themselves, and they didn't know anything about the disease. That
Hmm.
was the worst part. And the other part is that, the tourists are still coming in. They're still camping. They're still driving through the reservation. They're still coming in, even though that the president said, all everything, all the tourist sites are shut down, and but they're still coming in,
Yeah,
camping and
gas
doing
prices
this.
dropped. When no one was going over, the gas prices dropped, and I would see people on social media be like, "Oh, this is a great time for a road trip." It's like, no, stay home, man, stay home. And I know like a lot of people, like that was a thing for a minute. People were like, "Oh, we'll go drive through, like look at all those sites," and it's like, no,
Uh,
everything's closed. Stay home. And so, I know the nation was closed down over there, right? Whole Navajo Nation, I think, was closed for
yeah.
a minute. I saw there was a lady online. I don't know if you caught that. It was in the middle of your traveling, but there was a lady she put on the red hat and she became like a MAGA hat wearing. I don't know if you saw that. She was
Nah.
real for like 2 days on social media. She was taking the heat because she was like, open up the res, open up this gate, don't put us on lockdown, and she was a native woman. She
Huh.
was a native woman, and people were getting upset because they're going, no, we're locking it down to try to protect the elders. We don't want everybody coming in and out, and
Yeah.
and she was like, literally, she went and snuck off the res. She like recorded herself on a go live, and she went to like a a demonstration, and she's there with all these like Trump supporting looking people,
Yeah.
and like just all in that mix. And it was really a controversial moment, and people were just coming out at it like, bah, bah, just really trash talking her. And then the next day, there was a girl on Instagram who does makeup, and then she had said some negative stuff about natives, so everybody went their attention on that. It's like, man, everyone's been home too long. We got better things to work on, man. But everyone's just been focusing on these things. Like, can we get back to Tiger King? But no, it's been an interesting thing to um to see everyone's focus on some of this craziness
Right.
stuff, man. But I did want to say one other thing too before while I have you here is your brand, man. I just gotta say kudos to you in what you do because so I see so many like teenagers, like high school age and right out of high school, young 20s and stuff, and I just see them real proud, when they wear a native brand like that, when they're wearing their indigenous,
Yeah.
stuff and their hoodies and stuff, and I like right now it's graduation season, so a
Hmm.
lot of people are taking pictures with their hats and stuff like that, and I've seen people take pictures with your shirt on, with their mask and their hat.
All
And I just
right.
thought like that's cool. They're empowered by the brand. They're
Huh.
empowered by what you're saying. Like I am an indigenous person, I am a native with an attitude. And I think sometimes our native designers they kind of lose, or maybe I don't know, maybe they don't, but I don't know that they understand that they really do empower our people. Because I
Huh.
remember being, I'm a little older, but I remember being in high school and kind of looking for something to wear like that. And I
Yes.
remember Rudy Rojas. he started Native Threads brand at that time, and I would wear that because it was real empowering. Like, this represents us. This is us,
Yes,
made by
yes.
us, and it's us. Later on, my dude Josh Craddock had Smoke Signals. Right
Hmm.
now he's doing Kumeyaay Blood or Kumeyaay Roots. And but anyways, like these shirts, they're native and they're made by natives and they represent us. It's our voice saying who and what we are, and to be able to wear that, it's real empowering, man. And I just want to, say kudos to you on that. And I don't know, I know you're a busy guy, but I do see it. I see our youth wearing those shirts and those sweatshirts, and it's really empowering for them. It's cool, man. It's real good. So I hope you keep that up. If you ever need a model, let me know. Hey, no, I was
Yeah,
just kidding.
that feels good because that was the main message in coming up with
Hmm.
shirts, so that our youth can hold their head up high wherever they walk around and say, "I'm native, I'm indigenous, I'm a warrior," and bringing that empowerment to our youth is what's needed,
Hmm.
because they're the ones who are going to be in our seats, in the future. So we
Hmm.
have to make sure to let them know that they are warriors, they are leaders, they are hunters, they're protectors, to the sacred, and that they're special, and that one day they're going to be the ones running this,
Yeah.
and we have to empower that in our youth so that they can believe that now. So when they become our age, they're running it.
Hmm.
And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about is Native Inc., Native Incorporated, incorporating all natives, all tribes, all tradition. One day we got to come back as one tribe. That's what Native Inc., Native Incorporated represents,
Hmm.
is coming together as one tribe.
That's beautiful, man. And I feel like I've been privy to see you kind of make the journey, man. I remember when you first were coming around and you were out of the military and all that kind of stuff, and this is years ago now. And
Yeah.
I remember you had your designs come in, and you were an artist, and you were just kind of like, I want to put this out. And I remember, I think it's when you got your NWAs when you really
Oh,
hit, man, when everyone was just like,
yeah.
whoa, what's this, And I remember just seeing that blow up and thinking like, man, that's pretty cool. He's got a good design there, and everybody was wearing it. And I remember you gifted me a bandana. I had it in my class for a long
Hmm.
time, and it was just cool to see that logo or that I don't know, that design, I guess, just grow to the point where I remember one time I was online and I just saw some random ad come by and someone was selling your design. I was like, oh, dude, they just robbed this guy's design. But it was cool to know that you did that. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah,
know the guy who designed that
that's right.
NWA, and like that, and they have the Chiefs on there and stuff, and it's pretty cool though, man.
I really
So,
appreciate it.
like I'm sure there's kids out there or youth or right now is an interesting time because a lot of people, they're doing occupational changes because the
Yes.
economy's just flipped on its head, and it's been like a gig economy building anyways, where people have two or three things. They have a side hustle, they have a part-time job, they're Uber driving, they're doing all these different things. And I know like there are others out there that maybe have an artistic flair or who do want to get in fashion at some point, who want to maybe create a brand and a design, especially our native youth, but I'm sure there's adults too that have been working a job they don't
Yes.
like, and they're like, I just want to I want to pursue maybe creating a fashion line and stuff. But what would you say to these guys that are up and coming that want to get to where you're at right now? What would your advice be for them? If there's any guidance you'd give?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever stop. If you believe it, if you want it, get it. Don't ever let nobody tell you that you're not good enough. Don't let ever nobody tell you that you can't do it, because you can. You gotta have that mentality, like a racehorse running down that racetrack with the blinders on. You have to look at your main objective, your main goal, and you gotta flesh out everybody's talk around you like that racehorse with the blinders, and go for your goals. Go for what you want in life, because if you don't do it when you get older, you're gonna regret it. Make it happen. No matter what you want to do in life, it doesn't have to go with being t-shirt business or anything you want in your life, shoot for the stars. Because even if you don't make it, you're still amongst them. So go for it. And if you need any help, I'm right here. I'll help you out. I'll guide you on the hustle, on anything, and it just starts with saving your money and knowing what you want and going for it. Kind of like how your heart feels and how your spirit feels. And when you think about it and you put it out there, it's going to happen. You just got to put in the work though. Because there's going to be times when it's going to be like, man, am I doing the right thing? Oh, I don't want to go out there. Man, people are going to talk. But you know what? You're doing it. You're making it happen. And it's going to make you happy at the end of the road. Because when you see that person wearing your t-shirt, it makes you happy. It makes you humble. And I want to say thank you for everybody who's made a purchase because all you guys made this happen for us to get to Ojeto, for us to get to Monument Valley, for us to make this donation. Everybody made this happen. Thank you, Ahiehe Bennett. Thank you, relatives. And I want to say thank you too to Priscilla, who works at the Los Angeles adult sobriety home. She set up a donations facility drop off so the people in Los Angeles are dropping off donations for us every month.
Right on, right
So
on.
thank you. I want to shout her out. Thank you again. I hear it too. And
That's important, man. I think a lot of what we're talking about tonight, it seemed like is, coming through and trying to really come on through and try to help somebody, one thing that I've been talking to people in here about, we had a couple guests that do constructions here in the last few weeks, and about let's get back to supporting our own people,
yes,
and it may not seem like a big deal, but it's a huge deal, and that's how we teach our kids by supporting somebody. They see us support our own people.
yes,
That's how you grow that self-love. And whether we know, sometimes I don't think we're cognizant of the fact that that's how you build that esteem in people. People start to love their own people, love their own ways, the way they look, there are different things about our culture, spirituality, just who we are. And if you do that and you put that into the youth, it just builds their self-esteem. It allows them to become
yes.
strong people. And there'll be a whole generation of teachers
That's
that are going to
right.
make sure our grandkids are more powerful. We're building ourselves, but you have to be willing to take that chance to support another native, or support someone in our community like that. And so if you see somebody who's like, I was talking to these guys and they do construction, they're saying, it kind of sucks because we can get a lot of jobs on the outside, but sometimes natives, they're real skeptical to hire you. Maybe they knew you when you were young and you're partying or you were this or that, and they might think like, oh, I know that guy's gonna mess up. But it's like, no, like the one guy said, I'm working hard right now. This is my whole life. Like, I'm not gonna throw it away. Like, give me a shot. Put me on. I'll build what needs to be built. Why are you giving these other guys a shot? You're not giving your own people a shot. So we got to give them a shot. If you know someone who owns a restaurant, go try their food out. Give them a couple shots, check it
Yes,
out. And if you know someone who's got a design, a clothing line, go buy their hats, go buy their beanies, go buy their shirts, and because what's the option to go wear somebody else's stuff that doesn't represent you or your people or anything? Like
mm,
I've seen people who will wear a Nike shirt, but then a Nike shirt that says native with a feather they would feel weird about wearing, which makes no sense because that represents them more than the Nike shirt,
yes,
without the feather and or without the native on it. And especially when someone puts their real artistic, heart, their soul into a design and they're selling it. If you like it, wear it. I don't understand. It's really weird that there are people who don't want to support our own people. But we got to get back to doing that. We got to continue to support ourselves and we got to continue to build our self-esteem as a people. Because I know for me, I come from a reservation, and one of the things I see on the res, and I see it in our tribal communities too, even off the res, is that we still are living in that crabs in a bucket mentality where, you know, we went through a lot of traumatic histories. All of our peoples did, whether you're on the res or
Yes.
off, And what happens is if you take a person, we know that if you take a kid and you traumatize that person, you abuse that person as a kid, they grow up, they have self-esteem issues. They don't feel good about themselves. They're dealing with things. They have anxieties. And so if you do that to a whole community, they all have that, and they don't even see it in themselves or others because they've just been bred into that. They've been brought up into that. And so one of the things that a person with low self-esteem tends to do is they tend to not want to see others do better than them because it's cool to clap for someone, oh, you're doing good, but then when they do a little bit too good, then it becomes, well, if we come from the same place and they're doing good, then what does that say about me? Why am I not doing as good as that person? And so they want to bring that person down, and that's where the crabs in a bucket thing comes in, where it's like, everyone's trying to get out of that bucket or trying to get out of that pot,
Yes.
but they keep pulling each other down. Like, you'll let them get high, but you won't get them get too high. You want to pull them down instead of saying, no, brother, keep flying, keep doing your thing, and maybe you can help us out. If not, we'll find our own way to get out, but we're going to do this. But instead, we keep pulling ourselves down, pulling each other down, and that's a self-esteem thing. But same time, like, it's almost to be expected because we did have all that trauma. So what do we do to fix that? Well, we got to start trying to increase the esteem of our people. We have to start, practicing self-love. We have to start, try to understand why people are what they are and have the empathy for each other. And we have to have self-empathy too. We have to look at ourselves, our own family histories, and realize maybe why we're angry or why we think and behave the way we do, or maybe we have our own family histories that put us in a position to maybe be hating on someone else. Because I'll be honest, I've had times where I'm even trying, I'll start wanting to hate on someone or joke around, and I'm like, whoa, I need to stop myself. Um, I need to support this person because they might seem strong, but they might need that support right now. And you see a business and it's like, I got like $40 on me and they're selling a shirt. You know what? I'll go buy the shirt. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, maybe I should save the money, but you know what? I want to support this dude. I want to support this lady. Or, if someone's got a booth, we got to support those guys because we really do have to support one another if we're gonna make it out of this. If we're gonna
Yes.
continue to survive. You're talking about the Condor or the Eagle. You know, I think people hear that and they think, if they're not from that mindset, they think of it like it's so like poetic or like so Indian, and they just want to talk business, or something. But it's like, no, that has a direct impact on everything that we do as Indigenous people. When you put out a billboard and we don't have any natives on there, no representation, what are we telling our youth? That we're not good enough to be on that billboard? We should be having ourselves in our own marketing. We should have ourselves, in the middle of all of this stuff to show that we are part of this fabric, that we are something special. When people go buy jewelry, they'll go buy a $10,000 earrings or bling, but then like they want to like hit up a beater and be like, oh, can I get it for cheaper? It seems like a lot of money. And it's like, no, this isn't just some beads that someone glued on
Yeah.
a. This is designer beadwork. Someone put hours of
Mhm.
their life into that. You're lucky you're getting it at a premium. You should be getting this, three times what they're asking. And things. So it's mentalities like that we have to kind of check ourselves and be like, you know what, man, we really should be asking to try to support one another as opposed to like being asked to support one another.
Mhm.
Um, and so whether the call goes out or not, we need to, in my opinion, we need to get on it. And I'll say this, dude, powwows, and I want to ask you about this too. Powwows and gatherings and things like that. I tend to walk around and talk to the vendors.
Yes.
I just like doing that. You know me, I'm always, hey,
Right.
what's up?
Right.
But um, a lot of these powwows and vendors, they'll bring in vendors that are non-native. I
Yes.
noticed that, and not to hate on non-natives by any means, because most natives I know are very open to all peoples and stuff. They ain't trying to hate on nobody, but that's a very small market that's going on there at that powwow.
Mhm.
Very small market at that gathering. There's only so many people that are there. There's only so much money that's brought there to
Yes.
buy to commerce. And it's like the one opportunity that a lot of native entrepreneurs have to try to make a buck or to continue their product or to continue their like you got a clothing line. It's one of the few opportunities they have to really put that out to the people. And now they're in competition with people that aren't even native. Have you had any thoughts on that, or has that been something that's kind of I don't want to put you on the spot, man, but have you experienced that, or is it not so bad in the clothing? I know with the food,
Yeah,
it kind of
I've
is.
had experiences with non-natives and natives of stealing my designs, and uh, out here in California, San Diego, and them taking it back to another state and reprinting it, and making money off the design. I know another non-native at the powwow who walks around and looks at all of our native designs and then goes back and recreates an image using our designs, and he's at every gathering, every powwow. So yeah, I know, but all that matters is that the people out there, if they like what they see, if they get it, then it's up to the people. I don't try to encourage. I don't say anything. It just depends on the person's liking, of what's out there. And I've always tried to put out, stuff that's radical, stuff that's warrior, stuff that's, you know, will catch that person's eye with the red and the black and the white, and just to make sure that it's competition out there, and everything there's competition, so you're always gonna have competition, and you just gotta always remember to put out what is true, what is real, and the people will know.
Yeah. I like that, man. That's good. Because, sounds like you're just keeping it positive. Whatever, man. Just going to keep pushing.
Yeah, I'm gonna
That's
keep
good.
pushing.
But you don't have to say it. I'll say it. Hey, powwows, gatherings, man. Try to get our own people in there, give them preference if you can. Because I know that, like, some states, like New Mexico, I think, right?
Yeah,
You
an
have to have
ID, a
an
Native
ID.
American ID to make sure you're legit as a Native American vendor, seller, and everything is Native American made. So yes, that should happen in all the states and all the powwows and all the gatherings to make sure the native money stays in the native community. Because when the non-natives come in to the powwows and to the gatherings, they're taking that native money back to the native family and feeding them. When that native money should go to the native people who are selling their beads, who are selling their gourds, who are selling their traditional materials, and when they're selling their t-shirts, jewelry, that money should go back to the native people, so that money stays in the native people and grows to where we're bringing the people up to the same, all together, Hojo, harmony, where we all live together as one. If we see a native that's down, let's help them up to make sure we're all equal.
Yeah, I like that, man. I mean, the last thing we want to do is start to, exploit our own people or exploit our own
Yeah,
cultures at our
yeah,
own gatherings. But, I know people throw gatherings and they don't think about that. They just like, oh, let's get all the vendors there, get everybody we can. And then, you're bringing in people and they're not even of our culture, of our people, because our people are not native, but are in our culture and around, I think they're always taken in and, received well, it seems like. But there are some vendors out there that I have seen that are kind of predatory. They are there still in designs. They are there, getting stuff from China, and they're in direct competition with their own native artisans, and that stuff's rough because they're giving it an advantage over our own people, and it's by our own people they're given that advantage. And I want to say one other thing too, man, is that gatherings and powwows and conferences, all these different functions that are in native country, can we stop pretending that the vendors are the richest people there, because they're
yeah.
not. That is the word. I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard that, but I know people are like, oh, like if powwow's trying to make some cash, we'll charge the vendors more money. It's like, wait a minute, dude. You're charging people who have to travel. That's cost to travel. A lot of times, if it's a 2-day powwow, they have to get a hotel room, all that stuff. You're charging them to set up. You're charging them a raffle item. You're charging them all these things, and there's no guarantee that they're even going to sell anything, especially when it's a powwow and there's not a lot of people there. There might
Yes.
be a lot of dancers. Oh, we have all the champions in the house. All right, all the champions in the house, but is there a big crowd that's going to come and buy all these goods? And I've talked to vendors that have said like, some of these powwows, they're like, man, I gotta sell like $1,000 just to break even.
Mm,
And you're just like, ooh, my God, you have to sell $1,000 worth of stuff to break even? How do we get ourselves in that predicament,
right.
And it's like there's a lot of vendors they lose money on powwows, or they might have one or two engagements a year that really keep
Yes.
them floating the rest. So if you do see a vendor and they seem like they're killing it, don't assume they do that every weekend, and especially right now, it's got to be rough, man, that everything's shut down. All these powwows are shut down, gatherings are shut down. Everything's kind of all the cultural stuff's been shut down. We had virtual, I threw together some virtual
Right. Right.
gatherings, virtual powwows, and Morongo's did a virtual powwow. And it's good to get the vibes out, the songs out, and connect social. But the vendors, man, they're not getting that love, they're not
Mhm.
going to have that opportunity. But yeah, can we stop pretending that the vendors are the wealthiest people there, man? It's not fair. It's not cool. You know? Is it rough right now though with all of this COVID stuff or
It's like first it was, but then when I put myself out of the situation and saw the people that have less than what we have, than what I have, I'm not living rough. I'm
Mhm.
living in a grateful. I'm grateful right now because those people out there, they're living rough.
Mhm.
They're in need. They're hurting. The grandmas and grandpas can't even visit their own children. They're locked up in their house. And when I went home, I couldn't even see my mom because the doctor said she was so vulnerable that she has to stay inside her house. And she's been quarantined inside her house for 2 months now. I couldn't even go in her yard. I had to holler from the fence, and she stood at her door. Couldn't even hug her. Can't even go inside your mom's house. That's how bad it is. And family relatives passing away, from it. And seeing it right in front of your eyes and seeing people with no water, with no electricity, but the kids are out there with it. And it's like, what are we gonna do? Why, what am I doing? What are we doing? You know? And that just made it the mission, put everything aside. It's not about us no more. It's about the people in need,
Mhm.
and that's the big mission right now. Is to make sure that the people who are less fortunate than us at least gets a piece of something that was taken from them. Life and medicine of our people.
Right on, man. Well, I thank you for sharing that, for sure coming and giving us the lowdown, what's going on over there, give us a little understanding because we don't see it, it's not like I said, the media is not going to cover that. We know that, and people aren't traveling, so you're not seeing a lot of images coming out, unless you have family that comes from that nation, you're not really seeing too much, So, I know people's thoughts and prayers have got to be in that direction, I'm sure, and but for anybody out there wanting to donate and go out there and look for ways to do that, go look for ways that you can help. You might have your own unique way to help, but you can of course hit up Native Inc. On Instagram, um, and you buy and whatever you buy right now, as you said, proceeds go to that. Hit them up, directly, and maybe there's ways if you have an organization, maybe your organization can help. We're gonna put all the information here at the end. But out in LA, there's an organization helping right now, as you spoke. And so, with that, man, thank you for coming in, Mr. Emerson Joe,
Oh
Native Inc.
yes. Yeah.
Live from the res, ladies and gentlemen. Stay healthy and love one another. Peace.